Classified information. There's a lot of stories in this book. Iron Man's Tony Stark's declassified notes, interviews, and files from the Avengers archeries. Well, what we got is Iron Man Armor Mark 1. It was Tony Stark's the first Iron Man suit to build to help him escape from the forced captivity by the Ten Rings. This suit was crafted from the limited resources around him, including a savage piece of scrap metal, machine parts, and pieces of Jericho's missiles. He made it in 2008. It was destroyed. The history of it was untold of. It was classified. I guess they didn't want people knowing about this. However, while working on the missile, Stark was secretly building an armored suit to escape with the help of his fellow captive, Hoyacin. Stark put suit on and escaped to the compound, but was forced to leave without Yinsen, who died of a fatal gunshot while buying time for Stark's power up to the armor. Once Stark exited the cave, he used his suit's flamethrowers. He had a flamethrower to destroy the Ten Ring stockpile of his own Stark Industry weapons. No wonder they kept this off the books. Continue worked on the armor for months and reached a point where they only required a further week of assembly. Stark donated it. The final system were delaying their upload, so Yin ran ahead of Stark's to buy time. The armor finally uploaded, so Stark went into action. This must be inactive. One's destroyed. Forfeit 10 ring base universe. Inactive. Seems to be the only one. This had to be the one that took Tony to a whole different level. So which Iron Man was it? This Iron Man. Stark grew up developing a close relationship with Joe Biden's team. He graduated college at 17 years old and became the CEO of Stark Industries. He became a billionaire and used the company to produce weapons and data several supermodels. Oh, that would explain Jennifer Aniston. Madonna would be no match for that. Then, at the same time, you do have Wakanda. But then there is a jungle that won't let him go. Maybe it's my time to settle down with Cinderella. Stark built a new armor at one point, flying the test armor into the metasphere, and asked Jarvis, Jarvis, for help figuring out how the Ten Rings got access to Stark Industry weapons. Jarvis asked how to recidify the situation, so Stark asked Jarvis to pilot them to where James Rhodes found him. If Stark wanted to know where his weapons went, there could have been a possibility of a simulation test. What if that was them trying to see if he'll be able to stay truthful to the company? Or maybe one of your soldiers went off the books. By reboarding the Star Line, one getting the hell out of there. Not long after the message was old. By reboarding the Star Line, one getting the hell out of there. Not long after my escape, the Skrull ship went off like the 4th of July. I consider my directive from Cap accomplished. Report ends. Stark went to Chandra area and began fighting the Ten Rings defense there, which were joined by helicopters. Stark came across a large helicopter and defeated it. Stark then learned that the Ten Rings were being provided weapons by someone inside Stark Industries. I don't think Tony would be a soldier kind of guy. Tony's too fadantulous. And Stark went to Los Angeles, where he discovered that Obedience Thing had weapons lined up on the streets. tanks and turret fire that starts and destroyed all the weapons. This doesn't sound like our Tony Stark. It must be a completely different Tony Stark. Same model replicated to create untold universes. That probably is the advanced version of what later referred to the Iron Man suit. So if Tony is not, A1 military, status, you're in America, you can speak freely. What about the tech suit ambush universe? It's the only one that's inactive. Well, they're all inactive. One was just destroyed. Then that means that they know you're in the system. Alright, very well. What? The AIM reactor generator. That's the thing we need to figure out. There's no information about it. It's impossible. Where's the arc creator file? There's nothing. Nothing here. It has to be here. Tony Stark's Jarvis, James Road, AIM, Jack Taggart, Firepower. Firepower? It's a possibility. There's nothing here in this file. How they don't know, know what? Giving them imagination to run upon. How do you separate the real thing from the fantasy? Well, if we can't find the arc reactor, I can't tell you how it works. It's only this one story. However, Stark began chasing Alice out of hope of revenge. Alice managed to reach Stan, who rendered Allwazzer unconscious using the sonic taser and stole the armor. Stan donned the armor when he kidnapped Pepper Potts. But you sure this is the right Iron Man? I mean, that's a Iron Man. This may not be the Iron Man you're looking for. The suit was powered by a small electric motor that is partly exposed at the suit's lower back. The engine powered a pair of external belt-driven mechanisms in the suit's legs that help support the vast weight of the metal suit. Superhuman durability. Stark's war. What? It's a lot of these things just blacked out. What are you looking for? The reactor. You can't have Tony's reactor. This is prized possession. What if we can replicate the reactor? Will that be technically impossible? So how are we able to have an end game? You can have the end game if that's really what it's truly going to be. Because I remember AIM was just the Russian technology sales to the universe. And I can assure you this had nothing to do with the Russians. So how can you trust Pepper? Pepper has always been good to me. Besides, she's an American. System went blank. That's all there is. So there it is. Damn it, we was close. Well, we still got the file. Yeah, that's true. It's all of Tony's work. This is just the beginning of the Iron Man helmet. I want the rest of the body. What about Barton, Clinton, Francis, and Romanov, Natalia, Evelina, Violet? Their aliases. Banner. Where's Banner? Or from bodyguard to bona fide hero, Iron Man stops Tony terrorists. Or what about the governor of New York proudly presents the governor's Mentor's Life Savings Award with valor to Iron Man? Or better yet, Mrs. Potts has access to the whole entire kingdom. Presumably true, but she does not hold the concept of keeping his interests for the longest. Maybe Tony is not the Iron Man that we think he is. So what would he be? Or check this out. The extraction of unknown hostage as reported by First Lieutenant James Rhodey, USMC. We then were approached by hostile forces of who called out their intention to... What's wrong with you? I sneezed. Be careful. These were just Tony's achievements in the newspaper. The return of Tony Stark's troubled tech barn is back in the game, but only on his own terms. With Erwin Morley and Erwin Sinatra, is Obedience Stan finally making his move? Tell me something I don't know about Tony. Well, according to Stark Anthony E., his medical report, Stark Anthony E., at the request of Avenger staff physician and the personal invitation of Tony Stark, I have examined Mr. Stark to provide an assessment of his current and possible future neurological health. As I am sure other previous case reports have covered in great detail, Mr. Stark suffered traumatic neurological injuries resulting from a gunshot wound to his upper left quadrant. When he was admitted for medical treatment at Los Angeles General Hospital Trauma Center, that's only about a quarter mile of an inch from Metropolis? No, from Gotham City. What's the chances? He was unsupervised. He had a lot of significant amount of blood and experiencing ventricular fibrillation. His conditions deteriorated following initial surgical procedure to remove the bullet from the relief immediate pressure on his spine, but later stabilized. So Tony wasn't even 100%. No wonder. It made a lot more sense now. So if Tony needed the suit of armor and he wouldn't give it to you guys, that was his life support. But we didn't know. We wanted him to have a regular life, settle down, and, just take it easy. So Tony never knew what he never did not know. And you let him go on a rampage of trying to put himself back together without even knowing that he's still a human, but not partly machine. So the gauge of the gear of the observation is only the muscle spasm that gives the final blow to the heart to keep the heart alive. In reviewing my notes pertaining to my last examination of Mr. Stark's, I'm struck by the irony of my commentary, as even staying out of actions physically in the Iron Man armor was not enough to protect him from additional neurological damage. Respectfully submitted by Stephen Strange, MD. Strange wasn't even a full doctor yet. Tony doesn't remember none of us. So is anybody going to tell Tony the truth? I think the best thing for Tony to do is just not know. We all just keep it to ourselves and just, say hi to Tony for me. Sure, okay. Email exchange between Dew and Freeman government security liaison to the Avengers and Erdwin Jarvis Avengers Declassified is his email. Our file are in slight disarray. We have reference in our file to 3 deaths at the hands of Iron Man, with a note saying that the case are closed. What was that about? Another email. As far as the Avengers can determine, it was Franklin Richards who cast him into the other reality in the first place, doing his best to set things right upon their return. But he restored the heroes as he remembered them. As for Iron Man, it seems that both the Iron Men that killed those women were under someone else's control, and the Iron Man that replaced him are both dead now. Dead and gone. I'm sure the Avengers will be willing to discuss it further with you if you choose, but I assure you that neither Tony Stark nor the present Iron Man would rest if there were any continuing questions of guilt. We never knew that Tony was different. Person of interest likely to have obtained Stark's armor technology. The Beetle, Shockwave, Dr. Victim Von Doom, Stilt Man, the Crimson Dynamo, the Molar, Professor Power, Titanium Man, the Raiders. What do you think? I don't know. I don't think Tony did it. Magma versus Iron Man. Villains new toy hands armor adventures bitter beatdown. Reels James R. recalls about half of what happened, but I don't remember if it was the day I confessed to him I was Iron Man. It's my understanding he's likely suspected it, at least for a while. Yeah, he didn't seem all that surprised. At that time, I was useless, swimming in whiskey, and didn't even blink before taking the armor from me and heading out to face down Magma. He was acting to protect you, but also the company. Everything you and your father and those before him built. He's always been a man of integrity and honor, and I don't say it nearly often enough about anyone, but in particular about him. But I like to think having him in my life makes me a better person. I'll be lost without people like Rhodey and Happy and Pepper. It took me a long while to appreciate that in them. Daily Bungle, New York's finest daily newspaper. Billionaire playboy paints the town red and gold. It's not the unusual to see Tony Stark out and about and living the life glamour that comes with being one of Manhattan's richest residents, usually with at least one lovely lady on his arm. However, those lucky enough to get close to the famous executive might get to see something different. A new bodyguard who looks like a means business. According to a Stark Industries spokesperson. Are you reading the tabloid? Yeah. Don't read the tabloids. Okay, what the tabloids say? I don't know what the tabloids said. Just continue what you were doing. Stark himself requests the bodyguard after his harrowing ordeal in Cynical. Not your usual off-duty police officer. Okay, stop reading this paper. Wait. Or former military personnel. The mysterious protector is shrouded in mystery and more. I don't agree with that statement. That's an understatement of somebody trying to be a journalist to keep the party alive. That's all it is. He lives at Stark's mansion, does his constant present crim Stark's dating game. Sharp observe have already noted he doesn't always accompany Stark without on the town, but he's been spotted often enough to make people wonder. You can bet we'll follow in this juicy story. And there was the subterranean terror. The Mole Man unleashed a pack of monsters on the street of New York City. I believe Mr. Ripperducky had that completely under control. Chaos reigned supreme yesterday after the Mole Man, long a thorn in the side of authorities, emerged from his underground lair with a horde of a creature on his heels. Heroes dispatched it by S.H.I.E.L.D, Miss Marvel, and a group of other heroes. But it was Iron Man who took center stage in this latest skirmish, unveiling a strange new version of his famous armor that appeared capable of changing its shape. For whatever reason, he assumed the form of a beautiful silver woman who proceeded to destroy most of the terrifying creatures terrorizing people on the surface. His latest rampage ended, the Mole Man retreated back into the depths. Laughs, if you have to love it. Ultron, perhaps the most sophisticated in... Well, yes. I'm surprised you know that word. Ultron? No, sophisticated. Definitely the most diabolical artificial intelligence ever created. Gets brought down by something that makes the system installed aboard the Apollo lander look like the Hall 9000. I just wish I could have been aware enough to see it all happen. And what did Washington say about it? The White House, Washington, D.C. executive order. It's classified. I think we should just close this and just walk away from it. That's probably the smart thing to do. Yeah, that's the smart thing to do. Wanted Hammer. No. Wanted by Hammer. The fire's going out. Wanted by Hammer. Anthony Stark. I know Tony had a first name. Knew in my bones he'd do something underhanded with that information, so I did everything I could to keep it away from him. Well, I did leave him one entry from the file mine. Transcript expert remarks given by Norman Osborn, Hammer director, and assuming command and control of S.H.I.E.L.D. and transforming that all too flawed agency of blame and dysfunction into the city, forces America deserves my associate Miss Hand discover a most amazing piece of intelligence, obscured and buried by the previous administration. We found that is indicated as a S.H.I.E.L.D. Executive Memo 262. It gives us reason to believe Tony Stark, a.k.a. Iron Man, and his right-handed woman, Maria Hill, had not reasonably suspicion but obtainable intelligence suggesting the Skrull invasion was intimate. And clearly they didn't... What, Harry? Yes, you're going to school with Peter. Very well. I'm reading the newspaper, Harry. Harry, and clearly did not. What, Robin? Oh, very well, Robin. And clearly did nothing to prevent it or stop it. In fact, the executive memo indicated Stark and Hill sought to negotiate for the Earth's safety. So what the big letters say? I think we should leave that classified. My efforts to research and comply that the information presented in this document raise a number of questions. One of the more fascinating inquiries considered was how one might react to being dead, at least for all reasonable intent and purposes for a significant period before being returned to life. For me, the idea of any return from actual death is fantasy, but the ongoing and ever-expanding nature of the scientific knowledge allows for the consideration of one's outlandish notations. When fantasy becomes reality, how does such an experience alter one's perception, not just about their own existence, but indeed the nature of the existence itself? How are one's previous ideological and even spiritual beliefs and attitudes influence, if at all? Tony Stark's endured just such a journey, as you'll now see. The experience did indeed change him in some ways, while also reinforcing many of the qualities that makes him the unique individual he's always been. Experts of Area War Plan Transcription, Hammer, document 68785-78795GDFBCV, Norman Osborn, in Ares. Ares can only be a myth. That's the end of this transmission.